Testing. There we go. Okay, here we go. Welcome everyone to the special Patreon live stream. Hopefully this is working, right? Is it working? What do you think? Let's see here. Welcome Neilani, Sue, Enzo, Vinci, Sue. Who else is here? Matthew H. Lots of people have been here for a while talking with each other. That's good. BVD. And I'm catching up here. I'm looking. There we go. I think I was at the end. Patty Fagan, Desire. And there we go. There we go. So, welcome to this special 1,000 Patreon live stream. And you guys are part of this. Of course, you've been here for, for forever. Some of you guys, especially there in the chat, recognize all those names. There's AM Radio, Lighthouse Ghost, Ben. Again, it's really cool to be able to have this sort of inner core of folks that we get to interact with here on the channel. Thank you guys for what you do. There's Patty, there's Midwest Minuteman. Hello to all you guys. Now, I don't have any particular, thing to talk about other than, woohoo, 1,000 people. I am prepping right now to head back down to St. Augustine very, very soon to do some actual videos. Instead of vacationing there, doing some actual videos there, that process really worked out really well. Sort of go there, interact in a just standard tourist kind of a way, and then kind of chew on that while I'm there and afterwards and say, what would make cinema, what's really interesting about this? What would be great to bring into the channel that would connect all these things up? So I've been having a lot of fun with that process, and it's really funny. So we were, one of the places we visited was the Spanish Military Hospital Museum. And we, I was as incognito as I could get when I was down there, wearing typical everyday clothes. Nobody would recognize me. Turtleneck sweater, baseball cap on, it's me hiding, right? And so, and I'm with a different set of people. My wife, Ivy, Lauren was with me, and a couple of Ivy's cousins, a couple boys. So big family, not what everybody's expecting. They're not like, they would probably think of me as this lone person coming along, right? Or maybe with Ivy, Max. So I kind of snuck up on them at the hospital museum. And of course, I was really quiet. I just love, kind of sitting back and it's like, don't chime in, right? And so Ryan was connecting with them in his producer role, connecting with the folks there, and kind of picked out the person. I wanted to have the same person I talked to when we were down there to do some video work with them. And she was taken aback because she is a big fan and did not recognize me, even though, she was talking to me that whole time, probably for, a half hour, 45 minutes, did not recognize me. Just hilarious. That was great. Obviously, I must have been, I can be a pretty quiet person in those kinds of settings. Who wants to be in, a tour group and some jerk in the audience is like trying to answer all the questions for everybody. It's like, I don't want to be that guy. Let me catch up here in the chat. There's Heather, there's Deborah Scotland, Amanda Marie, Recon Phil, Yasmin, and Heather and Joy and Lyra 2112 and Ines Santos and Rick. Let me see if there are any questions up here. If you guys have questions, you can throw them out here. There we go. There's hello from San Diego, and I'm glad you can hear the audio. That's good. If you have any questions or if you have any comments about, let me see if I can get my thing. Yeah. Everything's working. When I don't have a special person to work the guts of this, it can be a little tricky doing both. I'll stop paying rent before I stop paying Townsend's Patreon. Well, I don't want you to be out on the street. It's funny. I just did a little Q&A for a 7th grade class, and one of the questions that they had was, does anyone live in the log cabin after I finished making it? Guys, I don't think anybody wants to live in that log cabin unless they want to be rained on, have smoke all over. Got some nutmeg stuck on here. It'll be rained on. It'll be smoky. The floor is all dirty. No one wants to live in that cabin. Okay, let us in on the crab stew. Good question. So sometimes, cooking videos we do cooking videos in so many different kinds of ways. Some cooking videos are something that it looks simple enough that there's no reason for you to really try it beforehand. It's like, we'll just do it right there. Other ones need a lot of testing, making sure you get a lot of research, and you'll want to cook it ahead of time, or it needs parts of it cooked so you can make the video in a efficient sort of manner. So you do the magic bake oven, and you already have a pre-cooked one, and you put the one in, and poof, out it comes, and it's ready to go. So crab, whatever that one was called, stew? I don't know what it was called. Whatever that one was, it was one that is like, that looks interesting. I don't think we need to try that ahead of time. So Michael had not pre-cooked it. So we didn't know what we were going to get when we got into that episode. And, the amounts weren't really there to, most of those recipes don't have any great quantity of amounts. And sometimes you really do need to dig in on a recipe and say, okay, what's the modern equivalent? How could this go wrong? Are there flavors here? Are there things that I need to be more careful with and understand what they really need? So I believe that recipe it just said something like wine or white wine. I have to reread the recipe. I didn't do the research on it. So, something was not right. Now, if there was a secret video behind the scenes, you would have seen Michael put in nutmeg, and then I put in extra nutmeg, and then he put in more extra nutmeg. So it could be nutmeg. I'm not saying that but I don't think that was the problem. I think it was a mismatch between the amount and the kind of wine that mixed with that crab. I think it was one of those things where sometimes it's like you really do need someone who has a speciality and choosing wines to say, don't do that one. Do this one over here. It could have been just straight up the amount. It could have been the type of white wine. I mean, my guess is it was just some cheap, nasty white wine. And boy, whatever it was a bad mix. It was just bad. It was horrible. I'm not joking. When Ryan said it was foul, he was not joking. But, we talked later on and about the things that were in it. It's like, boy, this is, if you changed the ratios and you took out so much of the liquid, it would make crab cakes. I don't know. I think somebody was asking about weather in Texas. Hopefully you guys are back. It's always a weather thing, whether it's cold in Texas or it's raining like crazy in Kentucky. Wow. I'd love to hear more about fort to ship battles, Matthew H. So, that would be an interesting study. I have done a little bit of reading even recently about the British attack on the Spanish at St. Augustine, or even before that. It's a very, very interesting thing happens. I think it's 1670s, 1680s. St. Augustine gets attacked by pirates, and it happened more than once with them. So pirates, and that was before they had the big stone fort. And the pirates would come in and like burn the town down and, burn the fort up and all that good stuff. So the pirates came in for a second time, stole a whole bunch of silver, and they said, we're not going to burn the town because we're going to come back and take this over as our pirate base. And apparently the Spanish took that as that's a challenge maybe. It was a concern. They didn't burn the town down, so maybe they do want to save this. So they immediately said, it's time for a better fort. And that's when they started with the stone fort. And if you could call coquina stone, it's kind of stony. It's not very good stone, or not very super sturdy, but perfect for what they wanted to do. So they started building it, but it took forever to build this fort. And apparently they took money from the money that they were going to pay their soldiers to build the fort. And it's like, yeah, the soldiers had to pay for their own fort. Anyway. So before they got it finished, before they had the guns mounted, before they even had a gate on this fort, and it took forever, they were attacked again, or they were going to be attacked again, and they had to do a quick hurry-up job of sort of stacking stone and making it look like it had a gate and pretending like they had cannons when they really didn't have them set up properly. And the pirates looked at it. They didn't attack it. They looked at it from afar and said, and so they didn't bother attack it. Thank goodness, or else they would have easily defeated this fort that was not ready. When the British come in 1702, they don't have a lot of luck. They stay far enough out to sea that the fort can't hit them, and really it's very difficult for ships to thwart a fort like that, because even though the ships can move, they generally don't have as heavy a weaponry on board. So a fixed installation like that can have very heavy cannons and mortars, for that matter, whereas a ship just is not going to have, especially 1702, they just didn't have giant cannons. And when they were able to hit the fort at different times, the cannonballs just kind of stuck in the stone. They didn't shatter. It didn't cause great damage like they were hoping. So it was a great type of stone to use, not brittle, basically. So, but looking at different things, different battles in time between fortifications and ships, truly interesting about how the pluses and minuses of both sides. Okay. Thankfully, I'm glad to hear that Leroy is now off the phone with the boss, and they can now properly listen to the video. Bet you've never thought you'd have to hide from the paparazzi. Yeah, well, thankfully I don't do that. Wearing a hood and a baseball cap, not the definition of incognito. We've never seen John in modern clothes. I wonder how the time vortex would work on that. Yeah, so I try to. It's like a tradition. It's like nutmeg in your drink. I kind of we play around with the idea of what's appropriate on the channel and what's not, and what happens with Camera John, who we call this other guy that's not me. That is me, in front of the camera. It's like, when is he in an appropriate situation? Is it okay for him to be dressed, but he is in a vehicle or at a historic site? And when would he be not dressed? And what about other people who come on the channel? Should they be dressed or not dressed? It's an interesting question. And, technically there are no rules, right? We do whatever we want. But seems to me like after I've been in hundreds of videos, always wearing clothes. I just should be wearing the proper clothing. I don't know. It's a interesting conundrum, I guess. Yeah, well, hopefully crab stew. I don't know what to say about crab stew. There's Yasmin saying, I drink my coffee every day from the sea foam in brown cups. I do think they did a great job with this one. I don't know, sometimes you see the colors, on their website or whatever, and you think, well, that might not be great. I don't remember who said, hey, let's try this one, but whoever it was a good pick. One of my favorites. John, beside the series you did with Coal Cracker, would you ever consider doing wild game cooking and associated recipes? Yes, I would. The biggies are, the tricky parts with that are finding period appropriate situations, or let's say period appropriate research. So you'll, again, and I've talked about it in the past, you won't find necessarily recipes for game. It's kind of one of those things that's done, and we only can sort of get implications about what it was, what they were cooking it like. We have sometimes simple descriptions. So I enjoy doing things when I can have a firm stand on bring the historical context and the research to bear on a particular idea. Even if I can't, bring all the research to an episode, I want to be able to answer that question if somebody came to me later on and said, now, what did you base that on? Some things were, it's like, I don't want to guess. I don't like guessing. And a lot of wild game cooking for me would be guessing. We can find references to people saying, we ate this. Sometimes we can get references to, we ate it like this, or we had like catfish stew, whatever, or, soup. But we don't have the recipe, so we can only sometimes guess or take not take a modern recipe, but take a period recipe for something similar and apply it to that game. Tricky things to do and not guess or fake it. I don't want to do that. I don't do that. I'm a little late, but lucky, not too late. There's Chris 2591 from Germany. Yes, thank you. Let's see. Where did I? That's the problem with this method here. Oh gosh, you guys are way ahead of me. Hurry up, John. Showing the mistakes is an important part of learning. Plus, it's very entertaining. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I found a YouTube channel from a fellow in Ontario who's building a cabin in the woods, like in the 18th century, using period tools and methods. It's called The Woodland Escape. I highly recommend it. I will try to remember that. Woodland Escape. I'll write that down. Woodland Escape. Okay. No, it couldn't have been the nutmeg. I'm definitely with you there. Any plans to read us another story? I love those. Yes, hopefully. We'll see how much time I have when I'm down in St. Augustine. That's coming up. I'm hopefully going to read some sea stories on the beach, because I don't have a ship to sit on and read stories. But hopefully got some reading coming up. I might do some little pieces, maybe a longer piece. Hopefully do 2 years before the mast sometime soon. Just incredible story. Great writing for that time period. And then maybe some shorter, like extracts from something similar. And I'm thinking about reading the Jersey prison ship one. Ugh, boy. So yeah, plans. How do you keep the tomahawks from coming loose on the handles when throwing them? These aren't Townsends tomahawks, so that may be the problem. Oh, yes, John Talley. No, I don't have a tomahawk, of course, but the handles on most tomahawks in the time period are tapered. So even the head is a little wider at the top than it is at the bottom. And the whole tomahawk handle is narrow at the bottom than it is at the top. The whole handle slides down there and gets tight as the harder you pound it in, the tighter it gets. But that's there for a reason. It makes it easier to make a handle, and makes it easy to get them tightened up again. And so, because if you're throwing them, they're always, getting loose, and you have to keep tightening them. Heather, I feel the crab stew would benefit from more breadcrumbs and being patty shaped. Yes, it sounds like a crab cake, doesn't it? And less wine. Maybe he just had a horrible wine. I didn't even look at the bottle. Who knows what that was? I agree with the comment. Someone said, cook the crab in butter or cream instead of wine. Keep the wine for drinking. Yeah, there's always that question of staying true to the recipe or not. My other question with that recipe would be probably, even now as I look at it, or think about it, not look at it, would be judging that recipe by other crab recipes. Is that the only time that one shows up? Is that one copied over and over again? Is there something that's similar but helps us understand that one? Because, it wasn't right. So something wasn't right. So some other recipe is going to help us understand that one. That's where I would go with it right now if I had to. It wasn't my recipe, so, I don't know what to say about that. Take out the wine and the anchovies. Well, there's that. Every day is a good day when a journal entry in, yes, there's a journal entry in Cresswell's journal. I know, I really need to read Cresswell. I'm glad to hear it's in Corpus Christi. It's a beautiful day. Well, even though it was foul, it gave me a needed laugh to see your reactions. Well, that's, even when something's doesn't work out, as far as I'm concerned, I'm having fun when I'm doing it. And, we didn't want to eat it and go, and pretend when it's not true. Again, truly something to learn from. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. Texas went from frozen to 70s and back to 40s. There's Ann, or Amy Abnett. Yeah, it's the back and forth, the weather at this time of year, and maybe it's everywhere. Indiana's very, very, fickle like that too. It's like, woo, it's great. Oh, it's horrible. Right now we're having nice warm weather. So, that was Ann. Here's Amy. I made mushroom ketchup. How long do you think it'll stay fresh in the refrigerator? It was excellent, and I still have some of the dried mushrooms. Yeah, in the refrigerator, it's going to last forever, as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't have any problem with it. It's pretty stable stuff. It's got enough vinegar in it and acid that I don't think you'll have any problem. If it's so good that I'm sure you will drink it all up. Well, if you just drink it, you'll use it all up before it goes bad, unless you made like a 50-gallon batch. How has the coquina weathered? And the good question and hard to answer. Nowadays, everyone wants to show off the coquina on their building, so it is not covered. In the 18th century or 17th century, they were using it, early on. They might have plastered it or used a mortar mix or whatever to even protect it, because it's a pretty coarse material, and some of it would be, let the weather through it. It's going to be a very permeable stone, if you call it a stone. It's really not a stone, it's an aggregate, even though it's found in a stone-like state. So, yeah, it would be pretty, the fort looks great. Don't ask me how it's still done. And they would whitewash it and all other kinds of things to keep it from weathering. Deborah, what kind of medical regulations were there? Were there many quack doctors around, particularly in rural areas? Well, that's one of the things we'll discuss when we're down at the Spanish Hospital Museum. And one of the answers is going to be medical regulations. What's that? Very, very few, if any, medical regulations. Basically, anybody could set up as a doctor. All you got to do is add doctor to your name. They didn't really have any kind of accreditation or regulation or anything about that. And there were a lot of quack doctors, and in some ways, every doctor was a quack doctor, depending on how you look at it. But, you know, because medicine, I mean, it was a well, even today, I was reading an article earlier today by an anesthesiologist, and he was talking about how they actually don't know how anesthetics truly work. It's like, yeah, we got this, you know, there's this similar thing about these gases. They have very small particle form, you know, size, and they do a thing, but why it does it exactly, and you know, those are really hard questions to answer. And there's many things in modern medicine that are just basically descriptions, not actual explanations about why things work. And it's, you know, 10 times that in the 18th century for doctors, and lots of just quack doctors, you know, empirics. And rural areas, I don't know. I think quack doctors were even more in demand in, you might actually have better luck in the frontier if you had a doctor than the ones that were in the cities. I mean, because quack doctors are, you know, fakes, right? So, you know, it's easier to come and go in a city setting versus a rural setting. So rural doctors are going to be a lot more, well, you know, I fixed somebody's horse and now I'm over here, you know, and they can't get away from people if they do harm to them. Here we go. Mushroom ketchup will last longer than you will. Yes, exactly. Desiree. Yes, I knew I said it. I knew I said it wrong, but somehow my mind just wasn't ready to pronounce it properly. Well, Amy, she says she tossed it. You can make more. That's the best part of it. There's Center for Food Preservation Arts. Hello. You have a tour of the store video in modern clothes. Do I? Okay. I have a tour of the store video in modern clothes. Maybe the one that I forget their names did, but that's not on our channel. I don't know. I only remember the ancient one, and I was at least wearing a coat and a hat for that one. John, how do you feel about being recognized by fans? Do you mind if they say hi and tell you, or do you prefer otherwise? You know, it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, it just truly makes other people around me kind of like, what's going on, John? You know, people are coming up and saying hi to you. It doesn't bother me. I don't have an issue with it. You know, a lot of people, you know, a lot of people are very, very kind of nervous, and they don't want to talk to me because they're, you know, shy or whatever, which is kind of funny because I'm a shy person. I don't tend to, you know, in this setting, it's easy for me to interact. I have a lot of experience with, you know, interacting with the camera, and, you know, I've gotten better at that as I've gotten older. But no, it doesn't bother me in the least. Now, me going up to talk to somebody else, whoo, you know, I don't, that would freak me out. But people coming up to me doesn't bother me at all. Did you know St. Augustine is the oldest continuously inhabited city in the country? Yeah, it's got this history that is just, I mean, we were talking about it with Aaron, and the idea that St. Augustine was there like 200 years before the Revolution is just sort of, you know, mind-blowing. It's got so much incredible history, so I really enjoy St. Augustine. There's Nicholas, and good night from Italy. Yes, where it's 10 p.m. Do you guys have a P.O. box where we can send fan mail? Yes, and if you go to our website, I think the address is there. It's just like P.O. Box 415, Pearson, Indiana, 46562. You can look it up on our website, townsends.us. You can send something in the mail. There's Sue. There's Desiree. Oh, boy. If I don't catch up with this chat, all of a sudden everything just explodes and I can't find where I was at. There we go. New here. How did the canoe ride and the reading from the journey come about? It was perfect. So, you did a couple episodes with in the canoe reading. And the one that was first, and the one that actually did really, really well on the channel was just totally experimental. I just said, hey, here's an interesting little reading. I'm just going to push the canoe out into the pond. I'm going to sit in the canoe and read the thing, right? And then it's like, oh, that did well. Let's experiment. Let's go out and take the canoe out on the river. I went out with Brandon. He was in the front doing all the work, and I sat in the back and told him, do this, do that. No, I sat in the back and read the pieces. They didn't do nearly as well. But fun videos, and I like reading from the location, if I could. It would be great to do like a Nicholas Cresswell series and, read the journal entries from the location he's at. And of course, I don't know if I want to take a dugout canoe down the Ohio River, but it would still be incredibly interesting. So yeah, that's, you just never know how some of these readings are. I mean, I'll come up with some crazy idea and then everybody's like, yeah, do it, John. Okay, that's what we do. Yeah, John Talley says maybe 18th century wearing 18th century clothes is going to do a trend. It hasn't worked yet. I've been doing it for 10 years and nobody's been that interested. There's Recon Phil saying, met with John at 2 events before the plague. Thank you, Recon Phil, for saying I was gracious. My favorite mug is the black with the blue on top. I do like those. There's one over there someplace on the shelf. Lighthouse Ghost Ryan is very nice too. Ryan is very nice too. Yes, he's such a troublesome guy. How quickly did churches follow people to the frontier? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know that I could answer it exactly. A good sort of, is it here? I couldn't reach it even if it was here. The Charles Wood Mason book that has his sort of diary entries, and he's in the backcountry of South Carolina in the 1760s, I believe. So the people he was interacting with, he was going out way back into the backcountry, and there was a great desire, even if he's like an Anglican, and a lot of people were very against that. So, but yet, because there was so few church services going on, they were sort of driven to that, and they would come and interact with him. Sometimes, unhappily, sometimes happily, but there was a great demand. So, I would say that they're not being served as much as they wanted to be by churches in that time period. John, I would love to learn more about hairstyles from the time period. That's Patty. It would be a good picture study. And I was trying to think about what would be a good live stream topic for Friday. And if I combined hairstyles and images, that would be hilarious, wouldn't it? Hair. Good idea. I'll see what I can do about that. You just never know what crazy ideas will pop into my head. Sometimes it works, and sometimes somebody else's idea is the great one. I hope he decides to grow a ponytail at some point. Hope who's going to grow a ponytail? Me? I'm not going to grow a ponytail. Michael used to have a ponytail, but I don't know what he did with his hair lately. It got all bushy and everything. Hair and beard. See, if I'm doing 18th century, I really shouldn't be doing this beard thing. Except maybe if I'm One of those hairy backwoods people that don't come out of the backwoods for months and months. Greetings from sunny Riley, Kansas. Just got off the road and made it in. Welcome, Terry. Start a movement. Wouldn't they have used fresh crab? Looked like you used canned crab. Well, you know, finding fresh crab around here that's going to be decent. We're in Indiana. No seafood is fresh here. I mean, okay, you might find some live lobsters in a tank someplace, but yeah, Michael had canned crab. Sorry, that definitely could be a icky part of what was going on with that. So the troubles of being in the middle of Indiana. In the 18th century, most men had ponytails behind their head or longer hair around the rest. Maybe it's an 18th century mullet. Yeah, hair and what happens in this time period is interesting. It definitely kind of changes. Wigs are in, but not necessarily North America. And there's definitely a point even in Great Britain where wigs just poof, fall out of fashion. They stay in fashion for certain people, but everyone else is like, no. So, an interesting study. And why wigs? Why? This is Yasmin. I want to thank you for what you do. It's obviously you put a tremendous amount of time into the channel. You've helped me get through the pandemic. Well, I'm glad that it has been helpful to you. I never imagined that the content would do what it does. I mean, some people aren't even really that connected with the historical things. It's like, yeah, that's interesting or not. But they like the sort of the atmosphere, right, of the videos, kind of calmish and not too jumpy. And some people like to fall asleep listening to me talk. I don't know. Don't know how that works out, but I'm glad that the channel does what it does for anybody who finds it helpful to them. You know, it's like some people, it's like, this keeps me sane. Okay, then I'll keep doing it. The bad recipe could make for a good episode going over what you do to review, verify screen recipes you use on the channel. That's RT Take Zeus 2000, yes. We're actually thinking about that. And we're hoping to open up a venue to have some different kinds of videos that we don't do now on YouTube. And we're working on that right now, like really hard. We have lots of plans for sort of different kinds of content that you haven't necessarily seen for us. It's not way out of what we normally do, but more of it in a different kind of way. Stay tuned. You'll know more about that in probably a couple weeks or less. So it's, again, super exciting things happening. I mean, one of the things that we've been able to do is bring on more video people. So Aaron's got helpers now. We've got extra video editor and a video editor intern. So as well as doing more content with other people in front of the camera, whether it's Ryan or Brandon or who knows who else. So lots of great things. And truly it's because we know that there's that kind of support back there that's going to help us do that. YouTube is fickle, is the most fickle beast in the world. If it doesn't have content just like it wants it, it throws a fit and the channel goes. But you guys are there, month in, month out. So it makes a massive difference in knowing what we possibly could do. Okay. Again, I got that nutmeg stuck in my throat. We were thinking about making a mushroom ketchup drink using mushroom ketchup, and it's like, we'll see. We'll see if we have the Nutmeg Tavern special drink. Anyway, I thought you used the music to great effect in the crab meat video, particularly when the music cut out as you reacted to Taste of Disc. Terry, yeah, Aaron does. Aaron's been doing a great job having some fun with the editing. After doing hundreds of videos, either you burn out and you don't want to do it again, or you want to stretch out and kind of have fun and learn and get better at it. And I'm fortunately surrounded by guys on the video team that want to keep upping our game. I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. I want to get better at what I do. I want to bring new information. I want to create new, interesting ways of delivering that information. And the rest of the team is exactly on board with that. And when everybody's pulling in the same direction, we get to do amazing things. So I'm very, very fortunate in the people that are around me. Livestream recipe lab, no cooking. We could all brainstorm. Okay. That reminds me of something. I have a special announcement. Boop, boop, boop. Special announcement. I now have it's almost there, the ability to live stream from the German kitchen and maybe even from the cabin and even in the woods. I can't wait. That's going to be so much fun. Woohoo! Yeah, so Starlink, we do not have very good cell around us. The internet connection that's to my house is a crummy DSL that does not offer enough up to do live stream. But good old SpaceX and Elon Musk and Starlink are working on a decent satellite internet service. And so far it's working okay. I need to do the permanent install of the dish, but I should be able to connect to different places around the property so we can do live streaming from the actual location instead of being stuck here in the Nutmeg Tavern. So I'm super excited by that. And you guys will get, of course, dibs on that. In the U.S., did you not need a doctor's prescription until the 1930s? Yeah, so that's one of the other things about medical things. Not only and in some countries it's still like this, it's like, well, if you know what you need, then, here you go, you can have it, whatever, prescription, whatever that is, right? So yeah, you could buy, different medicines. You didn't have to need this official prescription. You could just say, oh, this worked last time, you get more of it. Doctors didn't need to be licensed. It was a free-for-all. Now, bad things happen. But, of course, it's certainly, it's a whole different world. It would be, it'd be a very, very interesting study about, nowadays we would think, flip top lid, the whole society would go crazy if you could just go to a pharmacist and buy whatever medicine you want. But we lived like that for a long time. So it would be an interesting study. Let's see. Yeah, ghosts in your blood. 18th century medicine. I do love the way the doctor in Poldark is presented. He's all about modern science at the time and constantly at odds with the status quo medicine of the time. Another interesting, truly, I go back to him as an author all the time. I just can't get enough of Patrick O'Brien's work in the Master and Commander series. He does this super excellent job of writing story with this mass of knowledge about what's early 19th century and 18th century medicine and what natural history was like and what the Navy was like and what society was like. And he ties all these things together in this, wonderful storylines. And he spends a lot of time. Almost really the main character is the doctor, and you get to learn a lot about medical things. And I have yet, other than tiny little quibbles, I have yet to find something in his writing, in 21 books that I thought he really went overboard with, and boy, he got that wrong. And even in some of the author's notes at the beginning, he's like, "Oh gosh, I got this little tiny thing wrong in the last book. I feel so ashamed that I said, this, one little thing, a tiny little, idea that most people would just scoff at." The research and the accuracy of what he writes, I truly do find amazing. So, Stephen Mastering, Mastering Commander, the author is Patrick O'Brien. Oh gosh, guys, gotta find my spot again. This is terrible. I'm gonna have to skip ahead. Somebody's waving at me through the window. In Mexico, you go to the pharmacist directly. Yeah, so it's like, has society collapsed? Iodine water is an item in my Civil War cutlery display. Iodine is still a thing that a lot of people are interested in, and has a great history, and it's one of those things that has been completely forgotten about by modern medicine, and still may have a lot good things about it. So a classic. We're still waiting for the tour of the library. There's Meredith. The library, gosh, you don't want to see my house. It looks like a used bookstore, and they're stacked all over the floor. Yeah, Tara and Natalie, that's the person I was thinking of with the tour. I just joined. Will you I'll have to catch up on the first half later. Yes, Spencer. Yeah. Who knows what I'm going to be talking about. What happened to Kevin, to Josh, to Kyle? Kevin he's head of Foodways, I believe, still at Conner Prairie. So Kevin worked for us for a long time, worked on the catalog, worked on video stuff, but he moved on to Conner Prairie. Josh is downstairs right now, still making stuff for us. He just, he doesn't want to be in videos as much. He's kind of shy like that. And Kyle, Kyle still works for us. He just doesn't do the questions because we kind of rearranged how we wanted to do the Nutmeg Tavern. Thought we had just like too many people involved in it, and there's all these voices, and we thought we'd slim it down a little bit. Kyle still works for us, of course, though. Sometimes he shows up in the videos, and he is in the shipping department. Spencer, always wonder what happened to Kevin. So there you go. Nicholas Cresswell readings, do a chapter a week. Good question. I've tried it before, and I just wasn't happy with the way it turned out, but that doesn't mean I couldn't do it better. Josh works in the dungeon. Basement. Well, he just works downstairs. He's not in the basement. Actually, Brandon works in the basement sometimes. There's going to be in some venues, there's going to be some pottery videos showing up, and they're actually shot down in the true dungeon. Incredible series, Cresswell. Yes, I'll see what I can do. Yes, nice to see Josh. Sometimes we drag him up here and make him be in a live stream. Federalist Papers. Oh gosh, I don't know if I can read political stuff. I asked about John said Josh isn't really excited about me, right? Daniel Bakes. How do we start a trend though? Going out in pub? Well, you could all buy waistcoats and wear them. I don't know. Not macaroni styles though. Tricorns. I wouldn't be surprised if tricorn hats didn't get in pop. Yeah, fashion's so strange. I like it when you do picture studies and live streams. We'll try to do that hair one. It'll be fun. There are some fun images about hair in the 18th century. Ponytail. Donations will double, I'm sure. You know what? I don't know if I can grow a ponytail. I've never had longer hair than, this. Generally, all my hair grows all down at once, and it just looks like some kind of like it creature. So I don't know about ponytail. Cooking recipes every weekend got me through the pandemic. Well, I'm glad they're good for you. Why wigs? Check out the ridiculous history of macaroni fashion and Weird History channel, okay? We go to Princeton and do a photo op and get to go viral. That's for making the clothing popular again. I ordered a blue and black mug. I love it. On Fridays, usually I sit down with a cup of tea, watch the live stream. I like sitting across the table and having a conversation. Me too. Truly. It's true. My kids ask me to play your videos when they go to sleep. John puts the world to sleep. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Joe Pera and as Joe Pera reads you to sleep, but love your channel and the store. Thank you. Santa, Sir Glenn, Dr. Held. There we go. Thumb your nose at the YouTube algorithms. Yes. Though I do not like to be constrained by them. Now I'm going to hurry through this because I got to go in a little bit. But ask the mortician. Interesting idea. Mushroom ketchup, Bloody Mary style. Hey, hey, hey. Don't be reading my mind here. I love a series where you build an instrument like the one you did behind you. Whew. Yeah, that'd be fun. I'm doing it by hand. I like power tools when I'm doing stuff like that. Wearing period clothing. Looking forward to seeing more Ryan in front of the camera. Me too. It's going to be fun watching him grow in front of the camera. Science. Live stream cooking. Yes. Yeah, huge news. Everybody's excited about that. Which GoFundMe did this? That would be great. Live stream options, live stream to cabin. Yeah, I'm super excited. Possibly a live stream from the German kitchen. Yes. Uh-oh, I lost my place. Yes, Nutmeg Tavern brought to you by SpaceX. Yeah, we'll see about the. I don't think it's gonna be too hard to get the permanent mount on that thing, so it'll do the live stream good. Measure nutmeg by the cup. I need to watch the recording of this. Is it being recorded for later watching? So Bridget, what happens is I will turn this into an unlisted video. The link will continue to work and you'll just be able to watch the recorded version of this from YouTube. I have the ability to record it inside the software, but YouTube will keep the recording of it. So we just use it like that. So this link will still be good. I'll probably even put up a quick like Patreon to tell people, hey, if you missed it, you can watch it. Hey, there's big news there, so make sure to. So I'll do that. My best boots are a Hessian style boot. Yep. Nutmeg Trader's mug last week. It wasn't signed. I'm sorry, Bridget. I can't sign everything, especially this last batch. It was a huge batch, and it is hard to sign tons of mugs. They're not easy to sign, so I'm sorry you didn't get a signed one. Have you ever been offered a Cameo contract? No, thank goodness, no. And how do you clean your whisks? You cook with? I'm going to finish up on this. The whisks, usually you try not to let them dry to get any goop on them. You want to, it's like clean them up as fast as you can. And I just whisk in really hot water really fast with a little bit of soap and then rinse it off again in really hot water. And that usually does the trick. I don't really have too much trouble getting the whisks that clean. Well, if I got a stamp that did my signature, then, how is that getting a signed thing? It was signed. My other name, Joe, was on it. Well, then I'm glad you got a signed one because they are rare these days. And they only get signed when it's a special request. But hey, if you guys really want to sign one, do a special request and I'll do my very best to get it signed. I'm going to stop here. Thank you guys. Desiree, Lighthouse, all you folks that have been on the live stream. Again, truly, the channel would not be the same without you. You guys are the engine that's deep inside there that makes everything what we do, make it work from the outside. You are part of the team that helps make videos happen. You truly affect the way that we do stuff. Your suggestions are really, connected with, I take them very seriously. I should take it like that. I do what I can do. We can only do so much, but we're gonna try to do more. That's just all there is to it. We're gonna do our very best to do more. Don't ask me how, but we're gonna do it. Thank you so much for coming along on this celebratory 1,000 Patreons. And hey, if Mossy Log is out there, that 1,000th person, thank you for your amazing support. All of you guys, you are great. I hope you have a tremendous day. I hope you are available for Friday's live stream. Maybe we'll get to do those hairstyles and picture study. That'll be a lot of fun. Thank you guys, everybody there in the chat. Even if you're not in the chat, thank you. Have a great day. We will see you on Friday from the Nutmeg Tavern.